They say every sniper has one shot they never forget. But his wasn't a shot he took. It was the one he couldn't take. And the girl standing in his scope, she wasn't supposed to be there. Not that day, not in that place, not with that tattoo. It was just past twilight, the kind of dusk where the world holds its breath. A cold wind rolled down from the mountains, brushing through the abandoned alleyways of a war-torn city that no longer had a name. Smoke curled through the broken streets like ghosts chasing memories. Atop a crumbled bell tower, hidden beneath layers of soot and shadow, he lay still, breath calm, pulse flat. I pressed to the scope. The ghost they called Whisper. No one knew his real name. He didn't speak. He didn't miss. He was a phantom etched into the nightmares of generals and dictators, a whisper in the wind before the final silence. This mission should have been like any other. Identify the target. Wait for the signal. Take the shot, in and out. No mess, no questions. But that night, something changed. Through the green-hued world of his thermal scope, the target emerged, surrounded by guards, laughing, confident. He leaned on power like it was a throne carved from fear. The crosshair settled between his eyes. Then, movement. She stepped into the frame. A girl, no more than 20, maybe younger, slender frame. A faded denim jacket clinging to her shoulders. Her steps were unsure, like she didn't belong in that place. Her head was lowered, one hand pressed to her side. He adjusted his scope slightly and froze. On the back of her neck, exposed beneath a messy bun of dark hair, was a tattoo, simple. Clean lines, barely visible, a triangle, encircling a falling raven, inked in blood red. His finger tightened unconsciously on the trigger, and then stopped, because that symbol, that exact design, didn't belong to her. It belonged to him, and to the dead. Years ago, when the war was young and his soul still carried warmth, that tattoo had meant something. It had marked the first covert unit trained beyond the veil. Assassins with no records. Soldiers whose missions were never acknowledged. He was one of them. So was the woman he loved. Her name was Alira. He hadn't said her name out loud in years, because to say it was to feel it, and to feel it was to bleed. She wore the same tattoo, only she placed it somewhere only he would ever see, on her left shoulder blade. Just beneath the bone, she used to say it was her vow, that no matter what the war took, she'd always come back, that love could survive. Silence, distance, even death. But she didn't come back. The mission went black. The team went missing. And when he finally clawed his way out of that hellish compound on the border, there was no body, no trace, just ashes. And now this girl. He pulled back from the scope, chest pounding, brain screaming against logic. It wasn't possible. Alira would have been in her 30s now. This girl was young, too young. But the tattoo, the lines, the ink, the exact frayed edge where the needle slipped, it was identical. He adjusted again, looked closer, and that's when he saw it. Not just the tattoo, but the eyes. Even through the scope, something in the way she looked, directly, unknowingly, at him, twisted his breath. A storm of memory crashed through. Him, Alira, smiling under a blood-red sky, Alira, whispering stories to him through the crackle of enemy radio signals. Alira, standing on a rooftop, wind in her hair, just before everything turned to fire. He was no longer in the tower. He was back there, bleeding, screaming, searching, losing her. The calm in his ear crackled. Whisper, you have the shot. Confirm. He didn't respond. The target was laughing again. The girl stood silent beside him, now holding a tray of drinks. Just a server? Just another invisible worker or something more? Whisper, we need confirmation. You're greenlit. His fingers trembled, not from fear, from something colder. Regret. He whispered back, voice dry from years of silence. Abort the mission. Silence on the line. Then chaos, voices, commanders, arguments. He didn't care, because he had already moved. He dismantled the rifle with expert grace, dropped it into the thermal bag, and was gone from the bell tower before the second argument finished. He had to see her. The streets were a maze of smoke and distant gunfire. He moved like a shadow, every turn etched into instinct. By the time he reached the square, the crowd had thinned. The guards had dispersed. The girl was alone, standing at the edge of the fountain, staring at something in her hand. A pendant. He stopped, his breath caught. It was Alira's pendant, a broken piece of steel, twisted into the shape of a raven's wing. He had given it to her the day before the mission went dark. The girl looked up. Their eyes met, and for a second, time fractured. She didn't scream, didn't flinch, didn't ask who he was. Instead, she stepped forward. "I wondered how long it would take you," she said softly, not in fear, in recognition. He couldn't speak. She pulled the pendant tighter in her hand, then slowly turned, lifting the collar of her jacket to reveal her shoulder blade. And there it was, not just the raven tattoo, but a name inked beside it. Alira. His knees nearly gave out. She looked over her shoulder. "She was my mother," she whispered. The world fell silent. The wind, the war, the blood in his ears. Gone. He stepped forward, voice shaking. "How?" The girl, "No." The daughter blinked back tears. "She survived. Barely. They kept her alive for years, until she escaped. But they took everything from her, even you. She said she couldn't risk finding you again, not with what she knew." He swallowed, 1,000 questions dying in his throat. "She died last year," the girl continued. "But before she did, she told me if I ever ended up in danger, to find you. She said, you'd find me first." The wind picked up. Ash swirled through the air, falling like snow. He reached out, hand trembling, and gently touched the edge of the pendant. "I thought I lost her forever. She never stopped watching the wind," the girl whispered. "She said if it ever carried a whisper, it would be yours." They stood in silence as the square emptied. In the distance, a convoy approached. Backup, extraction. He looked down at the girl, the proof that something good had survived the storm, and finally understood. He wasn't meant to take the shot that day. He was meant to remember why he ever picked up the rifle at all. If this story moved you, tell us your thoughts in the comments and subscribe for more faceless stories like this one.